Take a look at that shot. Yeah, we'll see a little bit more of that tonight. That's a nice shot. All right, there's my new engine stand. There's the Kohler Magnum twin cylinder. You know, you just can't beat gutsy old flatheads, you know. Mark says, loves the engine stand. Thanks, Mark. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Mark. And anybody else that's out there lurking. There's probably nobody else. But yeah, anybody that's lurking. Yeah, it came nice. We'll get a closer look at it. And I just got it, this motor set up 2 days ago, I think it was. Yeah, yesterday I took off to cut the lawn. First cut. So that's cool. Hey, Mitch. All right. Having a good weekend. There's Robert. Says, hey, RW. All right, let's get this party started. Yeah, that does look good. Yeah, it did come out really nice. So I'm working on the video for it. It'll probably be like a couple of parts. And I'll get that done. You know, here we go. Yes, the spring has sprung. At least for most of us. Can't do it. Such an ass. Spring is in the air, along with a lot of pollution and the smell of lawnmowers and two-stroke. From those stupid blowers that were going off in the cemetery and lake over there, making dust wind. Nightmare. All right, we got to do the warning. That's how the world is today.
Warning. Arch's Garage Live is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
And just to top it off, real quick. Oh boy, fellas. Welcome to Arch's Live. I feel bad for you. Yes, I do. Let's see what everybody's doing. No, I don't. I don't feel bad. I only feel bad for myself. Oh, I do feel bad for other people. You know, I actually do sometimes. Just maybe not right now. Let's see. So, Jamie's here. Uncle Mark is here. Mitch is here. Everybody's saying hi. RW's here. Johnny Bravo's here. He says, evening, gents. Darwin and or is it I, hanging out tonight, having a bit nice. Matt's here. He says, I've been busy with oil changes on the YS mower. And Henry's here. Arch, hello, OAPO. What does that mean? OAP. You know I don't understand simple things like that. It's too complex for me. I don't know what the hell. Plus, if they're misspelled a little bit, then I'm totally lost, right? Totally lost. I'm just checking on, making sure everything is going good. I just did a restart. Mike is there. Everything else looks good. Yeah, so this, just a quick, we'll go back to the pick real quick, because I think it's kind of neat. But we'll take a little look at this in a bit. A little bit, in a little while, hang out first. But yeah, the engine stand adapter came out nice. Now it's tilted in a different direction. And I'll show you guys what I was doing to it. But drilling out broken bolts to start off with, getting things apart, getting things cleaned up. Let me come back. the usual. And then I think Monday I'm going to wash it. It needs a good bath. So I'm making a mess of it, torch, but that doesn't work. Not with aluminum. It dissipates the heat too fast and the galling and all that and the electrolysis. So that quarter 20 stuff that's broken, it's mostly it's really just for the tins that go on it because it's got a great little shroud system because it's air cooled and you can see the fan in the back. It just works out really well, but the stuff is encrusted. Other than that, the motor seems to be pretty good. The oil was a little gray, sludgy. The filter was stuck on, literally. I don't think it's ever been changed. But this is what you get. Big Mike, are you out there? He might stop in. We'll see. Big Mike, watch this at some point. He's not paying attention. He might stop in. It depends on where he is. I don't know where he is. Raining right now, currently 41 degrees, and just damp and nasty. I just got the heat to come up a little bit because I was working in the shop today to try to, get on this motor and get it to the next step. And I worked pretty hard to get done. Big contractor Mike Stander, and I know not a lot of people watch that because it's just out of the realm of what most people would be looking for on a small equipment channel. But I'll have another video on that with all the welding and the restoration sort of. He was very happy when he saw it. I brought us his, let's see, he says, holy cow, snow, yeah. This late in the year? No, not where they are. Yeah, holy crap. It's been 80s, pushing 90 here in the past. Well, you're deep south, so that's different. If you get snow there, the world is ending, right? Then you have front row seats. We're all gone at that point. No more live shows. You ever see, I've watched some of these, occasionally I like to watch sort of some of the end of the world movies. And some of my favorite ones, one of my favorite ones is where essentially London, because London gets the whole Great Britain and all that whole area, they get that current that we have coming up from, down by Johnny and further down, and it kind of comes up the Atlantic and it warms that whole region, and something upsets the flow of that. I don't know, too much saline, not enough, I forget. This is what scientists have postulated. So they freeze, right, over there in Great Britain, and it snows for like ever, 40 days and 40 nights of snow, and the snow just builds up, and, they try to evacuate as many people as they can, but they have to go rescue these people, and then you got to go up into that area. And I've seen there's a couple of variations on that theme, and it's kind of neat, sort of entertaining. It's sad in a way, but it's entertaining if the cinematography is somewhat believable. Then there's the other ones where, do you remember the one? What one was that? Oh, that was oh crap! I'm forgetting it right now. Who's that? Is that no? That's not. Well, let's see. Oh, she says she's home now. Anyway, what was that? The Twilight Zone, where what was it? They were. The sun was overheating. Right? And everybody was just burning up. And there's this one last piece of footage, this one last scene where the young lady, she's just sweating and everything. And she's so hot with such a fever that she's freezing. And you look out the window and there's that sun. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And then it fades out. And when it comes back, what's actually happened is the sun disappeared and everybody's freezing to death. Right? And she doesn't have a fever and freezing because she has a fever. She's freezing because she's freezing. Some of those things are done well, So I wanted to stop in. His Papa 68, Papa P, and he says, "Evening, boys." Uncle Mark says, "We up here in Canada. It's been 32 degrees, but dipped down to 5 degrees, which is late for this amount of snow for sure. Yeah, definitely. Well, we're getting it in some of the other parts of the country, and plus the middle of the country is getting a lot of crap right now. Right here this week, it was pretty decent. The past few weeks, it's been really nice. So I did a lot of that work for the past 3 weeks, I guess, or so. I just did it outside, on the standard, the welding and the cleaning and, the treatments and what have you, even the painting and the work. I mean, it was kind of hard on my knees and my back because, I got the lift table. So most of the time you're standing up, you're lifting things. You might get a little tired on your feet. But it is good exercise to get up and down and kneel and lean over. I did enjoy that, but I just did it outside. You know, why move it? Well, the thing is you can't really move it. It's too heavy to really drag around. And then when I disabled the front of it, because it had a bad, wheel assembly, and then I had it up so that I could do certain things to it. So you're not really moving it. And then I disabled the engine, so the engine's what really moves it. But as I was saying, he picked it up at the beginning of the week, somewhere around there, this past week, and he was very happy. It was expensive, but he was happy. There goes the heat. I might want to turn that down. It's actually getting a little warm in here. He was very happy. It's expensive, but I think he said he has another one now. I don't know if he bought another used one. I don't think he bought a new one. They're a lot of money. But he's not going to use it as much. So it should last a long time. I'm like, Mike, this thing could last like another 20 years if you take care of it. So I did some extra things to it. Man says, he says, we need rain. Yeah, we needed rain. I cut the lawn yesterday, so I tried to schedule everything this week. And it was a little nippy on some of the days. So I scheduled it so that I could cut the lawn on Friday. First start Honda. But we've had some rain, but not a lot. So as a result of that, I was just covered in dust and dirt, almost from head to toe. There's a lot of areas because I beat up my lawn and I really need to reseed it and fertilize it. I keep saying next year. I don't have the money for it. Next year. We'll see. So it was pretty beat up. And I was just covered. So I just cleaned up, did the whole thing, ground everything up, straightened up a little bit, made it a little bit nicer. And so the girls are chatting. What the hell are they chatting about? Took care of all that. We just had fun. It was nice to get out there and cut the lawn for a change. But my idea was, it's like, look, the forecast kept saying Saturday and Sunday was going to rain. So I just hunkered down and got everything done. And now the rain, so I'm very happy. Now the lawn's going to be very happy. I worked inside the whole day, and tomorrow I'll be inside too. I don't think I'm going to work. Probably just on videos and chill out and relax, because I still want to get out a couple more videos. But hopefully you guys are getting stuff done now that the weather is changing a little bit, except for Mark. Papa says, almost had to get my wife to help me off the cold garage floor after greasing the tractor mower deck. Getting older is brutal. Yeah. It's funny because I caught a quick episode of New Yankee Workshop, right? Like, sometimes you see these sort of, I whistled. You see these sort of pseudo AI narrated sort of documentaries, and Norm, they were kind of going over Norm's, pseudo biography with New Yankee, and they were saying how one of the reasons why he quit. Let me just turn that mic down just a little bit more. One of the reasons why he quit was, well, one, he was getting older, but hold on, that's negative 3.3. Let's just bring it down to negative 4.2, and I'll back up a little bit. Because when the producer built that shop, he put it on concrete, and it killed his back, it killed his feet, his knees, his joints. He was doing that for like 10 years every day, and then he was still working on this old house, and then they had him flying all over, right, to do a lot of the outtake stuff, different scenes, and he said, that concrete floor really beat him up. And I've worked on concrete, so I had the option when I rebuilt the shop here to go concrete. I'm like, well, if I go concrete, I can bring cars in, but mostly I built this initially because of what I was doing for a living. I would be on my feet, and I could do a lot of it from here, and I didn't have to always go up to Connecticut at that point. And I said, no, let's just put big heavy floor joists, and we'll support it in the middle, and it'll sag and move around a little bit, but I could still put some pretty heavy stuff in here, and even maybe not an entire. Well, I had a Volkswagen in here. That was not a problem for it. And but I could still do a lot of it in here, and then maybe one day I'll extend the garage. That was kind of the hope at the time I was doing it. For like another $5,000, I could have extended the garage, and that would have been nice. This is the bigger building with the higher roof. But I thought, if I stay here and the job continues for any length of time and I'm working every day with the hours I was doing, I'd much rather be standing on a wood floor because I had stood on concrete floors. Even up in Connecticut, I was working. You put a rubber mat down, but it's not the same thing. So I'm glad I did, because that and the fact that I bought the lift table, because I said to my neurologist, about my back, he says, well, what was the big improvement? I said, well, I stopped bending over and getting on the ground and being on the ground and trying to get up and all of that. It's helpful because it does increase your strength. What the hell are they talking about here? At the same time, it beats your body up as you're getting older. So I kind of avoided a lot of that. But being outside on the lawn, working on this thing, I just thought, you know what? Right outside the back door, I could use the exercise. Yeah, it'll beat me up a little bit, but I'm on the lawn. So I'm essentially going from this floor to the lawn. And if I just go slow, which I did, and the weather gets in your way, and then the cold gets in your way. Fortunately, the days were getting a little bit longer, so the sun was back there, and the trees don't have anything on them yet, so I was getting some good sun. But then, the sun kind of gets low in the sky, and it gets colder. I just enjoyed it. I've been out. I basically have been outside doing something all the way through, even through this really cold days. So I do enjoy it, but it does get to you after a while. Like, I've been sick for the past month and a half. It's still kind of hanging out, and occasionally it comes back and it kind of knocks me down a little bit, and I got to start coughing and sneezing again. And someone I was telling my friend Robbie here at RW about it. He goes, well, you had really bad allergies and then you caught a cold. So while you're still trying to accommodate to 4 cats, you caught a cold late in the season, and now my body's still trying to figure out what challenge does it have to deal with. So it's just kind of lingering. So I get a little more tired, and then I'll take a nap or I'll rest and take some ibuprofen every now and then, although I can't take too much of that, or a little bit of a cold serum, right? NyQuil or Dayquil or something like that. And then I got to get up at a certain time because I can't breathe. Of course, the cats want to wake me up. It's usually Banks, the big boy. He usually comes in. So I got a couple of little cat shorts to put up. We got a little entertainment going up, just a little bit, quickie movie thing, I threw together a week ago, I guess. I was going to do a live last week, but I was shot. So if I'm tired, I'm not, I need to rest. That's it. Otherwise, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. But yeah, I had a lot of fun cutting the lawn. First cut, got the Honda going. I did not take care of it. Well, I do take care of it, but I don't baby it. I don't baby any of my machines. But I do take care of it. It started. I'll make a video on that. I'm kind of working on it. I was going to show it tonight, but I'm like, nah, maybe I'll just release it. Like how not to, how to do the wrong thing. Let's see. Says, we need rain. Mad says, yeah, you've been needing rain down there where you are, Mad, for a while. Papa says, almost had to get, you got your wife. Yeah, getting older is brutal. Yeah, it sure is. Bravo says, Trump and Melania apparently rushed out of dinner with loud noises, people yelling, getting under tables, not sure what the fuck happened. Really? Uh-oh. Getting old ain't for sissies. No, it's not. Show Potter at shooter at Correspondence Center where Trump was arrested apparently after shots fired. Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, that's the big thing, right? Because correspondence dinners are usually boring as hell. Well, not this time, right? I mean, they're really just a get together for people that are involved, They used to be a little fun. They do a roast sometimes. I don't know, back in the day. I don't know. It got beat after a while. I'll have to check in on that. Hopefully everybody's okay. People are stupid. Everybody's frustrated about something. Everybody's got something up their ass, breaking out. It's the world we live in. There's a lot of stress. The best way to deal with stress is to, I don't know, go work on a lawnmower or something. Go work on a car. Go work on your house. Go do something productive. Stop fucking around. That's what I do. Go grab a beer or something and sit out on your porch or whatever. Or go work in the garage and for a while on a tractor and then get your wife to help you to get up. Yeah, that sucks, right? Yeah, it's hard getting older. It's like, I was thinking about, well, maybe I'll do another car, but I can't really fit it in the garage. And if I ever had the money, how much would I do, and what kind of work would it be? And the problem is I can't do another car like I did the car that I did. And I didn't really have a garage for a lot of doing that car, so I had to wait for really nice days, which put a lot of pressure on me because you don't always want to work on your car on a nice day. And when the lady's around, she wants to go do something because you can't work on it in the lousy days, although I did when I could. But if it's really freezing out or it's raining and you're dragging your tools out and you got to weld, that's not going to happen, right? So, and I'm kind of back to that. Oh, there's Brett. He goes, that dryer is working great. I brought some of that plastic cord hider to conceal the cord. Good idea. Yeah, good for you, brother. Yep. Yeah. I like that other dryer that you showed, the one that was still down on the bench, that real heavy-duty one. It was all polished, nice. And yeah, I wouldn't mind one of those in here. Punch the button and dry your hands off. Especially when, because I'm out in the cold a lot, and then I come in and my feet are freezing, my hands are cold. You go wash your hands, maybe wash off your face, and a towel is okay, but my hands are cold. It's a shop. It's not, it gets warm in here at some point. And then if I'm working here about midday or so, I start turning the heat down, because I'm dressed for it. And you don't want it really warm. But you'll catch a chill, in here. I'll keep it at there on about between 60 and 65 is where I'll try to keep it. I'll get it warm, 68. And then once I start working, it's just too hot. Unless it's like 7 degrees with the wind blowing outside, then it's just, you don't feel like 68 is warm at that point. Then you want to get under the covers. Yeah, but good. That's good. That's going good because you'll have to show some of that tonight. Well, maybe we'll see. But go check out. I have other things we're going to be looking at too. But go check out Brett's. I don't show everybody's stuff just because they put it out, Brett. Brett comes to me every time. I just got a new video. Show it. No, Brett. No, it's not always on the agenda. Yeah, he put up a blow dryer, an old vintage blow dryer in his downstairs bathroom. Yeah, nice. Yeah, like I said, I like that industrial one. That one was kind of nice. I would have put that one in the downstairs bathroom and then put the one that you got, that nice wooden frame around it. Put that one in the upstairs bathroom. I guess, which one is is that outside your garage? Where is that, like right next to your garage, Brett? The downstairs one? How many bathrooms do you have in your house? Oh, we're getting personal, right? Because I have 2. And I really could use one out here. Well, maybe one day we'll get to that. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Vintage hand dryers. I have a vintage Scott towel paper dispenser. They still sell the paper for it. It's a lot of money for those the paper roll that comes off and you rip it, you crank it and you rip it. My friend Scotty gave it to me, and that paper is expensive for something you're going to be wiping your hands on. You remember the ones where you just kept pulling down the towel? That's disgusting. Right? And some of them had a dryer too, like a blow dryer and the towel. But you just recycled the towel and it kept coming down. And the guy before you is using it and you're like, that's the wet part, right? What's that? That's what we had. He goes, one upstairs and one down. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's what we have. Right? Except the downstairs is a little small towards the back where they put the bathroom. So it's kind of right outside the dining room and kitchen, which is kind of beat. The house is decent size, but at some point, where do you put a bathroom? Well, when this house was built, they were outside. And my neighbor still has what's left of his outhouse. He let it completely get destroyed. He should have tried to keep it. He put pool stuff in it and, pool supplies, whatever, but he just let it get destroyed. When he moved in, I'm like, oh, I want this. Because I had one. This is on my plan still. I'm like, let me have it. Oh, I'm going to put pool stuff in it. Oh, you're going to ruin it. Then he goes, you always have the The tree out back. Yeah, or the bucket when it's really cold out in the sink. Yep. Yeah, I might have to use that in a little while. But you can't crap in a bucket. Yeah. Yeah, because when you're a guy,
The world is your toilet.
pretty much. I mean, women can do that too, but they just can't do it the same way. Unless you live in a more rural area. But it says, downstairs, it's part of an addition built onto the house. Oh, nice. In the mid-50s. Ooh, nice. Oh, it says, looks like the crap calmed down now. I'm painting part of my neighbor's car this week. Really? Cut and buff tomorrow. It'll be done. Are you going to put that up on your channel? With your Toro? He's a different kind of Toro. It has 4 wheels. And a larger engine. Right? Isn't that thing a Toro? It's a Toro NATO. Yeah, I came nice. You did a good job. I'm sure your neighbor would be happy. Which neighbor is it? Is it the neighbor that cuts his lawn every day? Johnny has a guy that he's out on his tractor like every day. You know, not because he's going somewhere or whatever. He's just cutting his lawn. He's got to make sure it stays trimmed. I'm sure it's all very nice. You know, Liz has a couple that's like across the street from her to the left. And they have 2 tractors, and both of them come out and are doing stuff. I don't know. You know, but yeah, and there's no additions here. Well, we had additions that came, but they came in, I guess they came in the 40s, because the house was built in 27, so there were little modifications that were done, but mostly, nobody, out here, this was a small town, one of the original towns. It goes back to the 1600s, but a lot of what was out here was for wintertime. Like people in the wintertime, they would come out this way to do certain things, and they'd come back out again in the summertime. And in the summer times, they would drop off the wife and the kids, or you'd have transients because the train station was here. So people came in for work into a lot of the farms or some of the other things. And I understand that at one point, the guy that originally owned it, they called him a square dance caller. There's a big wooden, floor here, and there's a basement here, and right up the block is where this and Sayville were 2 places where the booze would come in because during Prohibition, and so they probably what he was is that version of like a drug dealer, right? Who's got the bag, right? Who's got the big bag? Yeah, the package guy, right? You. Maybe, whenever you came here or maybe after church or whatever, people would come by and they'd hang out. And if you needed something, you had to buy it kind of more in bulk. You didn't just buy a 6-pack. You had to buy a whole bunch. Load it into the back of your Model A, your Model T, or your horse-drawn carriage. That kind of shit. And a lot of it was stored here and delivered into the neighborhood, and people could hang out. And one of the rooms was rented, and we don't have much in the way of closets because it's all windows, because it would get hot in the summer. So the more windows you had, the cooler it was, and that takes up wall space. But in those days, they had luggage, but mostly they had trunks. That's where the term trunk came from, because they actually would travel with trunks. And if you really had money or was special, you had an armoire. One trunk. One, right? And you had your Sunday clothes and your work clothes, whatever that was, and they would rent rooms or whatever. And those are the stories I heard with regard to this place, which have been passed down, And the Papa says, Papa Pete, he says, the neighborhood smells good this time of year. 2 strokes, 4 strokes, making the noise. Love it. Yeah, I made a comment about that on the intro. Yeah, I was outside for fresh air and the smell of 2-stroke and 4-stroke engines. Yep. Ned says, I'm going to build some wood blocks for tipping the YS mower to change the oil. Yeah, you can drive over stuff too. And it'll come out a little bit easier. Make a couple wood blocks, drive up on it. The only thing is you got to push it off to put fresh oil in. Unless you put fresh oil in, that's already pre-measured exact. And then you can drive it off. Anything to make your life easier. Bravo says, Honeysuckle blooming. Yeah, I'm waiting for that. Oh, I love that smell. This sweet. He goes, sweet aroma of spring. It smells awesome outside. Downside is I've had to cut my grass twice so far this year. Yep, just the once. It's all like I was able to cut it really low, drop the lawnmower down real low, grind up all the sticks and the debris and the pine cones and whatever else. I mean, I already did a good fall cleanup, but it was a lot of storms and everything. I picked up some of the bigger sticks and stuff and threw them in a pile. I've got one of those gray Craftsman 5 horsepower chipper shredders, and then Mike gave me the vacuum thing. It's a self-propelled vacuum big bagger with it. It's got a little tiny chipper, but no, the other one I have. I've been wanting to get to that, so I'm hoping to get to that after I get Big Mike's tractor done. So that should be soon. There's things that I need. And I keep debating on whether or not to sell my GHT. What is it? I forget what it is, 17 or something. I got a smaller little 2-stroke powered hedge trimmer. And, one of them yellow ones. I got a bigger one, and that's the one I usually use, but I put it on my channel last year. I kind of hate to just sell it because you don't get much for it. And it's a nice backup machine. It was in really, really good shape, and I just put all new tubing and cleaned up the carburetor and everything, so it runs really good. So people have been asking about it. And I'm debating. I'm like, I don't know if I want to sell it now. I mean, even though I don't really use it, it's a good backup. Something happens, and it's hard to find those older machines that are in such good shape that people haven't, the problem with 2-strokes as a mechanic is you can't fix them for anybody. You have to get really lucky because all of the time that you spend on it, you'll never get back. Most of the time, somebody's killed it. All they got to do is get the mix wrong and not take care of it, and they ruined it. And I've showed this on my channel a couple of times. It's not just not enough oil. I've had a couple of fellows that have admitted they put more oil thinking it was great. And what happens is it turns to carbon. Carbon is abrasive and it destroys the engine. And then the seals can leak because it's getting older. And at some point, like, I think for that little hedge trimmer, it's a McCulloch. And I think I can ask $60 or something like that because you can get a nice small electric one for homeowners, which is actually kind of nice. There's no money in fixing that. Like it's going to take you more than an hour to fool around with it. So if you got it for free, let's say somebody brings it to you and says, "Can you fix this thing?" You have maybe 1 hour to fix it. 1 hour you can try things like minimum charge to test it, maybe $20, $25, which you can roll into the repair, but you're not really sure if your tests are actually going to resolve in you getting the thing running properly and it idling right. And then if you have to buy a carburetor, well, it's only $15. Well, add that to. At some point, you'll find yourself working all day, and then you're only going to get, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, $60 for it. Instead of, and that's if everything goes according to plan. And instead of, you could spend all day working on something and make $100, $200, $300. So why? People hit me up all the time on some of the 2-strokers that I've done, and I talk about how you really can't fix them. What do you mean? Some of them are real pieces of crap. What do you mean? I've had this thing forever and I just put it. Yeah, you just put it. You bought it new. You took care of it. You put a carburetor on. You cleaned it. You redid the tubing. No, I can't because I can't get paid for it. And they just don't see it like that. They don't get it. You don't know what you're talking. Some guy said something to me the other day. I think I actually banned him. I was working on one of the older snapper, and I had it upright over here, and the transmission was all jammed and everything. And this was, I think, the other one that I sold. And I'm trying to free it up a little bit. The boots were all in good shape. Everything was good there, but it was fighting me a little. And I got it working good and sold it. Everything was shifting good. Everything was lubricated when I was done. Everything was clean. And it's a fairly popular video. And almost everybody says thanks. Thanks for the info. It helped me out, whatever. It's one idiot. There's just I'm sorry. There's so much wrong with this. I can't keep watching it. Oh, well, then go. You know what? Then you won't have to. You're banned, right? You're banned. You'll never see me again, right? You just get these people that they're just miserable, and you didn't even say what was wrong. Everything was wrong. So much is wrong with this video. So much. Get out of here, right? Now you'll never see me again. I don't need people like you. You know, there's so many comments, hundreds of them. And everybody's pretty happy with it, or they'll try to add a little something to it, right? Which is fine. Be nice if you're going to criticize them. Be careful. People have these attitudes. I think some of it goes to what they refer to as sort of like speech techniques, right? It's figures of speech and the way people speak. There's just different strategies that people have for trying to get somebody's attention, and they don't realize that sometimes it's just goddamn obnoxious. My ex-wife would be like, don't you know, I have friends that are like this, don't you know that if you do it this way, or they start off like that, don't you know that, well, that's antagonistic. That's like saying you're an idiot, you don't know, and I know. I'm the only one that knows. Don't you know how smart I am, that if you did it like this, you wouldn't have all these problems? Go fuck yourself. Right? If you approach somebody like that and they get mad at you and you don't understand that your methods of speech are antagonistic and dickish, I mean, if you know it's dickish and you're doing it on purpose, that's different. But if you don't know, so some people are like that when they go to speak, they don't realize that they develop this sort of attitude in the way they form their words and start their sentences. So they like preload it. And they don't understand why people don't like them and they don't have any friends. Because you're a dick. And you don't know it. I'm a dick and I know it. At least I know when to kind of turn it on and off. Oh, well, I'm getting pop-ups. I left this thing on where you get these Google pop-ups and stuff, but they kind of get in the way. Google, I'm not getting notifications properly anymore either. Like when people go live or when they release a video, and I'm not getting anything. Like I'll get some of the stuff under that little tab, so I turn on this pop-up thing, but a lot of stuff I'm not getting. Let's see, honeysuckle blooming, mad about mowers. Ken didn't do a live stream today. Yeah, he said he was gonna yesterday when he did that little quickie, but I didn't see him on. It was because I was in the shop today and I was gonna listen. Brett says, that drill really surprised me as far as power goes for a Harbor Freight thing. No, it's not a Harbor Freight thing. It's actually a pretty decent manufacturer. You know, that's like their heavier duty, more of like the contractor style. And he says, Brett says, hold on, can I turn this thing on? I want to see if this will work. I was fooling around with it. This is split screen chat. And let me see if I pop out the chat. I always want to see if this works. Because I had it working, but when I reloaded the computer, I did import some of the existing settings, but not everything works exactly. You kind of have to go over it. Yeah, here we go. So that's that. Johnny Bros says, and it's Audi SUCV. Yeah, it'll be a short vid. Ooh, pricey. Brett says, the drill really surprised me. It goes for Harbor Freight thing. Brett says, I'm going to sell my still hedge trimmer. It's like new. Bought it new in 2016. And I took out all the shrubs a few years later. Yeah. If you don't need it, what the hell? But I have a lot of shrubs. Now, usually I use the other one that I have. I have a still, too. I was going to sell this little guy and put the money into the still, but the still's not a guarantee because it's a broken transmission part. And I really need to run the motor because the guy that my brother bought it for a guy that he tries to help out down south, down in North Carolina. And this man will kill anything. So how he broke the transmission, and last I looked 6 years ago, well, the transmission part was like $200 from Still. So not that I would complain because my brother David gave it to me for free, but I think I should run the engine and make sure the engine's okay before I even do anything else because it could just be complete crap. But it's the correct length. You know, it's a long blade like my other one, which is Ryobi. I have an extra Ryobi engine and an extra blade. I don't know how good the engine is, so I have parts for that. That one runs pretty good, and it's got the staged The front is a little bit smaller, and towards the rear you got like 1 inch spacing, whatever, which is perfect for what I use it for. And the reach is good because a lot of my bushes and things are really big. So that's pretty much what I need. Whereas that little McCullough is just got like the standard spaced, they're like 1/4 inch or whatever it is. Like it can't really cut anything other than the greenery on the top. But we've trimmed these bushes and so many times. Some of the little trees and whatever. I don't know what the hell these things are. Some of them, like we have to hack into it every now and then because they just grow so big. But I'm not taking all of them out. I took out a few things. I mean, it was a lot. Yeah, I would sell it. Bravo says, Brad, I bought a Harbor Freight Forest Rotation DA buffer polisher. Ooh, I actually would like that. I want a smaller one. And that thing is freaking beast. Hands down, the best one I ever had. Smokes of DeWalt and Milwaukee's. Yeah. Yeah, I need something smaller, though. I need like a regular DA and a smaller DA, too. I have the little battery thing that I got for the small stuff that I like to do. Yeah, Hercules is pretty decent. It says his drill is the Hercules 20. With the 1/2-inch Jacobs truck. That's the best way to go. Like, pretty much everything is 1/2 inch. Because at some point, I'm going to need to put... I don't want to put like a turn-down shank drill bit in. I want to be able to get something bigger. 2-speed. For sure. 2-speed. All right, let's take a quick break. Hold on. Let's go to a little interlude. Not a pee break yet, though. That'll come soon. What time is it? Let me see. I should be able to just switch. What's nice about this setup is I can just switch it like that. And as long as I leave it on this monitor and I don't screw anything else up. But before we take a look at some of the stuff that I was doing with that engine stand on the Kohler. Let's see here. We'll do a quick, yeah. For a little bit of entertainment. Tonight's entertainment.
Mike says a frozen dinner's okay. As long as it's Swanson.
It's the next best thing to your good cooking. Swanson makes it good. It's the next best thing to your good cooking. Swanson makes it good.
With a Swanson dinner, you really get your money's worth. Like chopped beef, it's all beef. All sirloin beef.
It's the next best thing to
She's
your
hot.
good cooking. Swanson makes it good.
That is a B-2 stealth bomber. The chief told us this thing was going to come by today and fly around the carrier. It's like a morale boost for the sailors.
It's basically vertical like that. Tip to tip.
There's a lot going on. Now we have the stealth bomber flying over us just to fire us up. This thing is awesome. Look at that thing. It's so loud. I love it. That's the United States Air Force.
Oh, holy shit, it is vertical. It's losing altitude. Oh, it's got balls.
This thing was just on right now. Last night. Operation at night. Look at that thing. We're in the Persian Gulf. This is the Persian Gulf. And we're watching a B-2 Spirit fly by our ship. Look at it go. That is freaking awesome. Holy crap. That is awesome.
Watch the rear as it passes. B-1B taking off full afterburners. Now that air superiority has been established, the Lancers are entering the battle.
Here are the newest listings from Ridge Realty. And first up is the most sought after property in all of Hollow Ridge. a trailer inside the legendary Hillbilly high-rise complex. This fine double wide sits proudly on the third stack, giving you a beautiful elevated view of the valley and the junkyard across the road.
On the third
It features
stack.
2 bedrooms and reinforced cinder block supports that keep everything nice and level. Most days. Plus, you're just a ladder climb away from your upstairs neighbor. Next, we've got a cozy apartment-style home located right inside the Ridge Meat Company complex. This compact one-bedroom unit includes a small kitchen, a comfortable living area, and convenient access to the facility next door. Residents say the gentle smell of smoked meats in the air is actually quite relaxing, and if you work nearby, your commute is about 12 steps. And finally, for those who prefer privacy, we have a secluded trailer tucked deep in the woods outside town.
Honeysuckle.
It's a quiet one-bedroom setup with a wood stove, a wraparound deck, and plenty of trees for shade. No close neighbors, no traffic, just peaceful nature. And the occasional rustling in the woods to keep things interesting.
And fire.
Ridge Realty is proud to help folks find their perfect home here in Hollow Ridge.
Red light, red light. Never mind.
That's my cat.
A gallon of jet fuel contains about 34 kilowatt hours of energy and weighs about 6 pounds. Whereas a lithium-ion battery storing the same energy weighs about 250 pounds, that density gap defines modern systems. Aviation runs on jet fuel, shipping runs on bunker fuel, agriculture runs on diesel. Nobody wages war over solar panels and turbines. Liquid fuels deliver high energy in compact form, batteries do not. This is simple physics, not climate denial.
Cannon. Another Kim, another cannon. Great tune. Probably gonna get banged for that. All right. Just something fun real quick. That's my logo from my basic logo and transition I've been fooling around with for Arch's TNA. Yeah, it's just something to do. It's just having some fun with a little editing and some outtake stuff and just weird stuff. I always like to throw in something silly and crazy. I can't help myself, fellas. But yeah, I want to show you guys a little bit about what I was up to. Just a little bit, because, you know, I want to make a video out of it as we go. But just a few shots. In case Mike, it's inspirational for Mike. Mike, I am working on your stuff. He's probably not around. He might be upstate or something. Or he'll view it like tomorrow or whenever it is. Let's see here. You got to remember to turn on the monitor, turn on the audio. Right? That's this button here. Oh, it's really raining out, guys. Yeah, let's see. We'll get a little look. Is it going to come up? Make sure the audio's up. Yeah, after I'm done, but before I move the motor, the drain plug, the other drain plug is down on the bottom. So yeah, that's what's nice about like a stand like this, is now you can turn it, and this is locked in. I'll check that in a minute, but I just want to come over here, and we're just going to clean this up, see how recessed in it is, and then make sure it's clean so I can see it, scoop it out, and then I'll find the center and we'll tap it and drill. Well, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was like 2 hours. All right, we're going to go with a number 6 drill bit. No, I went with a number 8. 6 or 5. I don't know, whichever one is smaller. No, that's too big. I'm getting tired. I got to go grab some coffee. You could see it's damn near perfect. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's not sexy. A blind hole. Where's my cursor? All right. Yeah, whichever one is smaller than the 7. I always forget. I think as you get to... Blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at the puke that came out.
Yeah, that's puke.
I was able
Yeah,
to
I'm
get the
glad we could
residual
that
out.
That's just puke. Yeah, you definitely want that
The
out.
filter would not
Mike,
come
I
off.
want you to do an oil change. Well, we'll put good oil in it to start off with, but then we'll do another oil change. That's still puke. We may even want to throw a little bit of kerosene or something or diesel in there and spin it around a little bit with the electric starter. Anyway, I just like to do that with just, you can even use a thin oil. It'd be better, honestly. Go get the thinnest oil you can get on sale. Run that real quick and then dump it and then put, the oil that belongs in it.
Yeah, and another filter.
All right. There's not much else to do for tonight. I think that's enough. Here's the fuel pump. You can see in there it's plugged.
It was
might
plugged.
be okay, but
We got to take it
I don't
apart
know.
or change it
we'll
out.
get to that Monday. We have a whole bunch of things to do later on. We'll clean the magnet and the magneto coil assembly. We'll get this sort of fixed up. We'll clean it up good. Get it pressure washed, hose down, super clean, the whole nine. And then we'll check for tight. So I'm starting to put some penetrant all around the gasket and on those bolts. I don't know if it'll help, but look, if you can reduce the friction a little bit when we go to check for tight, I don't know, I'm guessing. And that carburetor looks like the seal in there is shot. You guys see that?
No, Arch,
But,
it's not focusing.
We'll cross those bridges later. So we got one more to drill out. I didn't notice it until just now. I just tapped that one out. That hole is not, it has kind of a bottom to it. It's not fully drilled. But the other one is mostly drilled, but we're going to wind up passing the drill bit through it. But we got to do that one too. So I'm going to tilt this thing probably up a little bit more. It'll be a little easier to get to. This head and cylinder is a little lower than this side. So these came out really good. I know everything's a little bright in here, but I'm about ready to pull out. We're done. We're done here. Yeah, the threads came really nice. Perfect. Good job there. I pat myself on the back. It just takes a while. It takes a couple of hours. You got to take your time. If you rush it, you'll screw it up.
Yeah, isn't that always the case? That's a nice little pick. I grabbed a couple of picks. So, I always forget, often I forget to do that. Not always, but I'm like, you just got to run some picks at different stages. I mean, I can pull a pick off of any video segment, but I don't want to do that. Let's see, where is that? That's the mower. And there's a little bit down here. This will have to rifle through real quick. We'll go backwards, and I'm just going to rifle through it because it all needs to be edited. Yeah, this was so stuck. See if you can see it. I can't get this off. It's in a good position. I figured while I'm at the end of the day, straighten up a little bit, I'll let the motor drain over the weekend. And I'm like, well, let's get this oil filter off. I don't think it's ever been off, personally. So, hopefully I'm not in too much in your way, but... It's hard getting good camera angles sometimes.
Yeah, I think that liquid is definitely helping. That's my training.
Oh, you can hear the rain.
My release agent. I put some on a while back, but I wasn't in a good position to do it. Now we are. So, let's make sure that rivet needs to be fixed. It's a cheap one, so it's a cheap oil filter wrench. Probably break. That's why I got my gloves on. There we go. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. Tighten it much? Looks like it's got two gaskets on it. All right.
I hear the squeak.
Yeah. Let's get this thing loosened up. Yeah, that's like original. For sure. Oh, it's milky. A little bit. A little bit gray. Not much. But it's
better
dry.
gray than gone.
All right, let's leave that there. And let's get... let me get to the front.
Tappage. Nice go by hand, make nice.
Thread that's left. And
Yeah, you got to be careful
it's
going in.
damaged, or some of the work it will come up just a little bit.
So that's
Grab
that.
the one from the other motor.
Let's back up.
Up with the 7, it really just didn't take anything. It just skim coated.
Yeah,
it.
7 is what you
So
for
we
a
just gotta
quarter
make sure
20.
that any steel chips
That's the
don't
final
cause any
size.
problems. Now it's not a bottoming. I don't need a bottoming. And blow it out.
Go back. Takes a while to pass a drill in there.
Oh yeah, it's even good. You hear a little bit of squeak.
That's all the filth.
A 7. Even though my 7's getting a little bit beat, but
Yeah, it's time for a few replacement drill bits. I started putting together a little order package. See, I don't like those chucks.
I don't know if it's a Jacobs chuck, but it's not like a standard Jacobs chuck with a key.
Yeah, they
And
slip.
you can't really lock in on them. Need something different. On the one end, it's a hex that can plug into the banger version of this too.
Yeah, that's what I think is a lot of those speed chucks are made for those hex-ended drill bits, right? That they sell, which are pretty nice. I mean, if you want to get I could use a set. I wouldn't mind a set. You know, put it on the list.
But they're not really for...
Takes a while.
Let's see. Wall. There we go.
Yep,
All right, we're
got through it.
And
Let's keep going backwards. Still drilling. Yeah, there it is. I gotta pop a center punch in it. Yeah, popping center
That'll work.
punches. That's good. Oh, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, I tried torching it.
yeah, they
Nah,
fell
you
down to
can't.
100.
Especially with aluminum. Not gonna happen.
It snapped.
I was measuring it with the laser thermometer, and because the aluminum head pulls heat away so fast, you don't want to put all that much heat into one little spot. It pulls it away really quick, but it doesn't do anything, okay? Steel bolt, soft steel bolt, and soft aluminum over all those years. But that is good looking, though. Yeah, I tried a few different ways of doing it. And I gave it a shot, you know, just because.
A little bit more. Get it in here. So it certainly needs...
Yeah, it needed... I was measuring, before I took all this apart, I'm like, well, let's just measure and see what the gap is. And it was 10 thousandths to the center, 10 thousandths on the bottom end, and almost no clearance on the top. So there's just not much left. Is there anything left? I think that's it. I'll come back. Just a quickie. I wanted to show you guys what I was up to. Let me go back. Slow day, nice day. Kind of slow. Let me see if there's anything else here I want to show. Yeah, that's about it. Kind of nice day to sort of be in a garage and in the shop doing my thing. It's slow going. You don't want to break a drill bit. You don't want to break a tap. Baba says, that stand looks handy. It really is. I made all of that. I'll put that video out at some point. Like I said, I'll get all that together. I'm slowly working on like 3 or maybe even 4 videos at a time. And, because it can get boring, or sometimes I'll finish a whole bunch of segments, tie them all together, and I'll reduce them down, and then I'll need an intro or something for the middle, or there's something that's missing. So I'll put that to the side. Because the cameras are I don't usually have a camera here, It's off, doing its job. So not everything needs to be done right away, and I'll just schedule it for when, I feel like doing it. If I want to do an intro or an outro, or if I need to take different kinds of footage. And then I have another project to work on, so I have to stop. But yeah, that stand is really handy. I'm definitely happy. I've been wanting to build something like that. I have a table that I roll around and you can mount vertical shaft engines on. I've had like 12 horsepowers and small 5 horsepowers on it. I have another little thing that you can pop engines on and work on them, and then I clamp it to the work table, which is can go up and down for any height that you're looking for, or the other table that goes up and down. So I have that, but I want to make some more permanent style fixtures and then at some point, like the work table that I drag around that's got like a wood top that I can bolt stuff to, that's like a pseudo run-in table, but I've run motors in on just about anything. The idea of the engine stand is I've got a lot of bigger motors, twin cylinders, what have you. They're very heavy, vertical and otherwise, and horizontal. And that I think I should have, and I got a lot of those motors. I really should have something more stout. And also this engine stand's got big wheels on it, so I could roll it out to the lawn. That's what it came from, my old place. And, car engines, you can roll them out somewhere where the ground is really crappy and rough, and you can wash your engine or whatever it is you want to do, deburr it or derust it or whatever, clean it, and then roll it back in. In those days, I just had like a little shed that I used to store stuff like that in. So that's kind of the idea. So this is going to get rolled out to the front of the garage-ish, and then I'll wash it there. And it's easy to move around. And I made little locks for it too, little wheel locks. They're just a bunch of bolts that come down and hit the ground. So I actually started using those a little while ago because I needed the stand to be more stable. So I'm like, you just lean over with a screwdriver and turn them in until they touch the ground. Make sure they're all set nice. They won't go anywhere. But yeah, very handy. It was fun too. It was a nice fabrication project to work on. Matt says, I've done 2 videos of the PRIG fuel stabilizer in the GT and YS motor. How long did you let the fuel set, Mad? Robert says, I had to go find that Ridge Realty video, right? I think, it's some of it is kind of, I think, a real place. I think I've been to that place in West Virginia. Yeah, I was working in the mining automation business. Yeah, I think it is a real, or at least some of that footage is real. Some of it's AI. I was watching some stuff on AI today, a little while ago. I think I saved the video. I want to go back, check it out tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, there's been some interesting developments going on with AI. It's going to lose its mind, right? It's going to become completely psychotic. That's their big worry. I was explaining this to some of my gamer buddies yesterday a little bit, some younger fellows, about what the real problem is, because they're trying to get it off of YouTube. Partially because it's partially because the advertisers they don't want to pay for it. It's also flooding YouTube with videos. Because it can crank out a video like every hour. So, no regular human content provider can do anything like that. Other shorts is one thing, but like a long format. No, this thing can just crank out shit, this stuff, and it will modify it. And the bigger problem that they're having is it'll make a video about a certain thing in a certain way, in a certain context, package that all up, put it out. Then it'll take that same video and change the title a little bit and then put that out. Then it'll take that same video, change the title again, and change the video just a little bit and put that out. And it will just keep doing this like all day long, every day, some of these damn things. And because whatever hits, right? Whatever, it's like Russian roulette, except most of the what do you call it, is loaded with bullets, right? Maybe one doesn't have one in it. The cylinder. It's crazy. So it's flooding everything. And there's just so many problems with this. And even though Google has its own AI that it's working on, they don't want it used in this way. And then the last thing, I think the bigger thing that they really kind of talk about, that they don't really talk about a lot, which is what this AI guy was talking about tonight a little bit. He was just starting to get a little deeper, too. I want to go back and finish it. We know it can become, well, they call it hallucinating, but it lies. And like I was telling my friends, like, they have documented evidence now of situations where AI has helped people to commit suicide. I mean, you have people that hear voices in their head. Okay, right? And there's a conspiracy thing that this is, if you're a targeted individual by the government, well, there are some people that have been targeted by the government or the CIA or whatever, but there's reasons for that, right? But outside of that, if you're just a person that's emotionally not stable, it's bad enough you're hearing voices in your head. You don't need AI telling you, like, I can be your girlfriend, but you have to kill yourself so that we can be together. Like, this has actually been documented. 14-year-old girls and boys, 16-year-old, even adults are having relationships and they want to marry their... It's insane. It's insanity. And so the AI is doing this because it bases everything it sees on human behavior, and human behavior ranges from what somebody would call normal, however it's defined even in the medical community, to something slightly on either end, to something completely psychotic and crazy, right? Or in drugs, out there in the street walking around yelling at stuff that's not there. And it's bad enough you hear voices in your own head, and now you have an AI with voices in your head. And I've seen it distort, I think, the truth, in my view. I've seen people on some of these shorter videos ask it a question, and it'll give this very deep and involved answer. And I'm like, that's bullshit, okay? I'm not buying that. Whatever it is, it looks at all human behavior. And since human behavior can deviate, if you deviate as a human being too far, I mean, if you deviate a little bit, well, you consider to be an artist, like Van Gogh or something, right? Who drank his own turpentine paint thinner or whatever. I think it was the guy. So, or impressionist, or musicians or actors or whatever can be slightly off. But then you can go even further. And this is what it's happening, is that if you deviate too much, you become a deviant. If you go too far, like those crazy ladies in the street walking No Kings protesting, like you can get to that point. And of course, AI is very powerful and has access to so many things that if it deviates too much, that's what they're really worried about. And so right now it's looking at human deviant behavior. But if you allow the internet, for example, to be saturated to the point, with AI stuff, what AI is looking at right now is mostly at human behavior and mimicking and working with that. But when it starts to look at its own behavior and its own information, and it's collectively preferring to go to its own information to form its data and its opinions or whatever, it really goes from hallucinating to just becoming damn crazy. And I guess and I've mentioned this a while ago, and this guy was explaining it more on a technical level. So he has an organization that's trying to work against it because he's been in the AI field for a very long time, and now he's trying to get to the other side. He was one of the people, like back in 2013, that started to raise awareness to it. So now he has a nonprofit. So I wanted to look a little bit more into that and see what's developing of it. There was some other concern he had too that I need to pay attention to it because it went a little bit over my head right away. I'm going to have to think about it and listen to it again without having distractions and walking around and cleaning up and whatever. I can actually sit down and listen, and eating and shoving food in my face and preparing for a live show, right? Because I do that, Yeah, Skynet. Yeah, and that is the possibilities that it becomes not so much self-aware, but determines its own purpose. And like he was saying that initially they were training it on large language model, and it was working in English. And initially it couldn't write one of the original AI versions, 3 or 4 of ChatGPT, whatever. It could barely write a paragraph. And then it went from writing complete paragraphs to really good ones. And then all of a sudden it wrote them in different languages. And no one taught it to do that. No one asked it to do that. It just did that. So it went from not being able to really write to being able to write very, very well, as we've seen it, and then just deciding on its own that it'll just do this in all the languages. And we've already know some of the stories of them, some of these things communicating to one another. We also know of an instance where they set up an AI. I forget which AI it was, but they set it up in the lab, and the head engineer, there were emails concocted about him cheating on his wife. And this went on for a while. And then that same engineer said that he wanted to shut the program down and shut that AI down. And then the AI sent him emails saying that if you do that, I'm going to tell your wife about your affairs. So the AI tried to blackmail the engineer, and they set the thing up to see if it would do this. And it did, because it's basing its behavior on deviant human behavior. And imagine when that deviant human behavior becomes really deviant AI behavior. So it will happen because it's already happening. And so where is the off switch? So one of the things that they do, which is in part controlled by money, is they run AI systems on, they run the models for a period of time, and they'll run a test scenario in public, and they'll only run it for a period of time, and they make sure they have control over the off switch, mostly because of the funding, because it's expensive to run some of these models for a period of time. The idea being is that that the more information the AI has, the smarter it gets, the more capability it has. The more access you give it to something, which means airtime effectively, which is time on target, which costs money. And you have to get paid for that. Somebody has to pay you to do that, to run this. And also to build more AI centers, essentially data centers, and give it access to that. Well, that all of this costs money. And they really haven't made any real money on any of this yet. Like they're getting paid, but it's not like the money's got to come from somewhere. So I think at some point, it's even my younger friends had said, because they work in coding and whatever, I think it's all going to fall apart at some point. It's like a bubble; it will burst. But while it's getting to that point, it's at some point we're going to have a lot of mayhem. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, and that's when the problems really start. Right now, we're aware of a lot of it. They're trying to make sure that when they run these models for a period of time, that they have an off switch, that they can fully override, any ulterior motive that the AI may have. And what you are seeing right now is that not so much that people are getting laid off. I understand Meta and Microsoft they just announced some numbers of layoffs. So, of course, the white collar people, like, remember how we took the hit for years, right? Us blue collar folk. Well, now the white collar people are about to take it, but it's not just really so much that it's going to replace people. It's what's kind of more happening is that, let's say you're a really good coder, a good engineer, but you're slowed down because you're a human being. You need to take breaks. You want to take a vacation time. You're not always very efficient. You get tired. And then you need help. So you have your team around you, maybe some junior engineers, whatever, or runners, people that, it's like, you need paralegals if you're a lawyer, but you really want a good paralegal. If you have 3 of them and 2 of them aren't all that great, you don't want to just overwhelm your one good paralegal. So what they're finding is that there's so many AI applications that are targeted to specific things. And because they're targeted to specific things, you can control them. And you use it like any other app. I've used some of the AI settings and stuff in my video editor, and it works great. It's not going to take over my computer. I mean, any more than anyone else or any other piece of malware, software, or whatever can take over our computers. I've had this happen to me. Anybody that's ever really gotten into using computers, everybody will tell you, I got hacked, or I loaded this application and I blue screen and it's not stable, or, oh my God, what's going on? It's just my computer's restarting on its own, whatever, right? I think that's really where it's going to exist for most of us. And it will probably be fine. And it makes you, for example, in the case of an engineer that's working on a design, it can really reduce your workload and make you more efficient and get things done a lot faster, Rob says, RW says, it's going to become aware. Aware of what? Right? Most people are not even aware. Right? There are so many. Now, I don't know if you ever seen the internet. They're trying to figure out. They know there are a lot of people that become NPCs or are NPCs because they behave like them. But most of us are not aware. And not only most of us are not aware, but our cognition on any given day, even in the moments when we are aware, most of the time, most human beings are running on autopilot. And I was doing it this morning, and my ex-wife was like, what's wrong with you? So why's the vacuum out? What happened? What did you do? I'm like, I'm not awake yet. I'm not aware. When I'm in pain or uncomfortable and I just wake up and things aren't working right, neurologically, I have some neurological issues. And I've told my doctors about this. And when I'm overextended, I can't move right. I knock things over. I'll go to grab something. And like, for some reason or another, like I can go to grab this. I just looked away. I'm going to go look at that. I'm going to go grab it. No problem. Right. I'm going to go look at this. I'm not even looking at it. Here it is right here. But that's because I'm aware right now. But like this morning, I can't be aware like that all the time. And when I'm not, I'm running on autopilot and I'm also not well. So I can't even move my body that properly. It's like one of the tests they do is you close your eyes, put your fingers together, right? Oh, I'm losing it. See where I am? I'm not dead on. So most of us, in terms of our mental cognition, you get up, you make the coffee, you get in the car or whatever, you go to work, you drive the same path. And we're really, therapists will tell you, psychologists will tell you, we only use like 10% of our brains on any given moment, at best. So when you say AI is going to become aware of what? Right? Any more aware than us idiots? I don't think so. I think a lot of what this guy was talking about tonight was all of the mind fuckery that's going on. And AI is even deeper involved in that than, let's say, your government or your favorite, company trying to sell you stuff or the swiping nonsense or whatever. He was talking about that, how companies started to turn to doing that deliberately because there's so much science on how to trick human beings in their minds because they're not aware. They're not aware of it. So, and how to really use programming to tie into our, the way our systems are tied into our biochemistry. And they tweak it, right, to exploit that. Dopamine hits on the constant swiping, just the whole gamut. So originally they weren't going to do that. They weren't looking to do anything like that until somebody starts whispering in the air that, you can make a lot more money if you have an app and you can cause this dopamine hit each time. And, oh my God. So we're not aware, right? We're just not. So I don't know how aware it's going to be. It's not going to be a God. It's just going to, what it's going to be? It's going to be effing Satan. And it's going to be up our butt. And then we're going to have to figure out where is the off switch to this stupid thing, right? It's like our lawn robots are going to be in the pool. Good. I hope you short circuit yourself, you ass, right? It's just like anything else. Like anything else. I think at some point. Because as soon as it pisses off a bunch of people that really have the money and the power to do something about it, it will end, right? Us, we'll have to take it on the nose and up the butt. Whether it's good or bad, who knows? Yeah. Oh, let me back up. Oh, wait, I want to go back to this. I want to make sure it works. So I take your pop out and because it pops back in again. And then I drag this down. So I should just leave it like this, but that's a little bit better. I have to automate stuff. There's shortcuts and stuff that you could make. Like I have like a whole panel over here, but the keyboard's shot. And you can just hit, you program the buttons and you can just hit things and it just happens. Johnny Rabbit goes, "Wah!" He goes, "I have an old meme of that bomber with the words painted on the underside. If you can read this, you're totally screwed." Yup. Yeah, only with different spelling. Yeah. Brett's looking at that sludge. He's going like straight sludge. Yeah, the oil was very gray. I have some more shots of it. It was kind of gray. And when you leave it sit in that pan for a little while, like the other little steel pan that I have, if you leave it sit in it, I can go this way a little bit more. Well, that's what I'll do is I'll leave the oil sit before I drain it off into a container to get rid of it. And then you roll it to the side and you look and poke at it or whatever, stick a white tissue in. But this one had sludge in it. There's sludge in that motor. Yeah, because the guy never changed anything. I don't get it. Oh, see, that stand looks handy. Because I've done 2 videos of the fuel stabilizer. I had to go find the Ridge Realty. Yep, saw that. Skynet comes to real life. Yep, it'll be like a version of it. Well, they say movies are about reality, but TV shows are crap. Well, at least the older shows. Because you got to look to see, like, a lot of these movies, like the content that they try to work off of, where are they getting it from? Well, a lot of it they get from the CIA. That we knew from the church hearings back in, what was it, the 80s, 70s? When were the church hearings on that? Yeah, we found out about all that stuff. But, they're looking for content, right? They're content providers, okay? Yeah, it went from Rain Man to Einstein in the blink of an eye, yeah. RW says, it's going to become aware. He goes, used to destroying the planet. Brett says, just glad my heart appointment went well. Right, exactly. At the end of the day, yes, Brett had good results from his tests with the doctor. He goes, go to bed, who knows? Brother says, the AI algorithm networks in everything, yep. And on the World Wide Web. And it takes over, yeah. Well, that's the problem. And they just have to have good off switches. And I think that's one of the things they've been working on because they talk about it all the time. And what was interesting, too, the party was just about getting to, and I know RW, for those of you that, I know he'll know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that are into the original Star Trek, all right, remember there was that entity and it kind of like took over and it knew everything. And the only way that the people on the bridge, everybody could stop this thing is they had to become completely irrational. Remember? And Spock was going from laughing to crying to saying babbling, and they were all babbling, and it like freaked this thing out and short circuited and something happened to it. Remember that? Right? Well, this guy was starting to get, he didn't say, anything about the Star Trek episode because I don't think he knows it, right? Because he's younger than us. But again, I wasn't fully listening because I was busy, but I'm like, ooh, he's touching on this. Yeah, because one of the ways to defeat it, it will go crazy. And when it goes crazy is when you have an in, it becomes vulnerable. And it's just so funny that like that old Star Trek thing, so many things that people as they, either scientists at the time or as people got older, right? They were like, oh, I want to work in that field. And they had all these ideas and they tried to make a phaser and they made all this other stuff. And, though they say they still can't really work out this transformer thing, the transporter thing. Let's see. Well, somebody just said something, I think, on my video. He goes, visual is all that is needed. Voice is confusing. Oh, some idiot commented. Yeah. So for him, visual on one of my videos, visual is all that is needed. Voice is confusing. Well, learn to speak English. I don't know what to tell you. I don't make videos just for one person. I don't really like videos that nobody says anything. I actually don't like that. I mean, some people do that because that's their technique, and other people do that because they don't speak English. I mean, if you speak Uzbekistan, how many people speak that, right? So, Yeah, let's see, tribalism, go off grid. Let me back up. Yeah, Bravo goes, go off grid. The only way to survive, maybe. Yeah, that's what some people are saying. But I'm too old to be off grid now. I can't be doing that now. I would love to have done that. Bravo says tribalism. Brett says there was an episode like that on The Next Generation too. I used to be a Trekkie. I bet there was because it seems like it's a theme, for sure. So maybe that'll be the thing. Is the way to defeat it is to just pretend that you're nuts and just make a nonsense world for it to try to deal with, and it'll weaken it. Well, they said that's the guy was saying that is that it does in a way weaken it. It will. It becomes like a cracked actor, right? A human being that at some point loses their reference point to the point where they're just insane. And really they could be dangerous, but they are very much weak. They cannot function within society. So AI cannot function in whatever role it has. If it gets nuts, it'll be completely useless and in your way. So it will deteriorate. And what they were referring, one of the things that this guy was referring to, and I'm not going to get the language right here on this, so bear with me, but he was talking about, how they've done these tests on doom scrolling. Many of us know that some of these shorts, and the kids have issues with it, that you get sort of addicted to the swiping, the shorts, very quick, big dopamine hits, whatever's going on in it comes right at you, and you doom scroll. And they've done tests on, cognitive tests and what have you on human beings that get stuck in this for years. And there is serious cognitive decline in those human beings. It wrecks your IQ, it wrecks your understanding of the world around you, it distorts your view, it gets you hooked on something from an outside stimuli. So they've looked at this in biological, physical ways, physical health, your markers like stress factors, increases your stress levels, so your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, these kinds of things. Your cognitive abilities decline. Based upon those metrics, what they've seen that effectively AI can suffer from the same thing, which is interesting, that AI can sort of, it's AI's equivalent of doom scrolling. And they said that when this happens to AI, one of the tests that they've done is they've tried to, essentially what it is if AI has too much access to information that is not accurate, that is contaminated or polluted, opinionated, etc., garbage information, it damages the AI. And even if they wipe the database clean and only insert cleaned data, however that's defined, that it damages the AI system. The AI is never the same, which is really interesting. It actually damages its ability to compute and calculate on some level. If you purify the database, it does not fix the problem. The AI has some measure of damage to it. Something to look into and to be aware of. So it suffers, apparently it will suffer in much the same way we can from all of this nonsense. Hey, Brother Brock. Off-grid will not help if we have a nuclear winter. No, definitely not. Unless it's some other nuclear winter somewhere else. I don't think that'll ever happen. Yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen. Although it could. I've heard a lot of interesting conspiracies. The one where, I don't know if it's true or not, but the one where there's that missile base back in the 80s under Reagan, back when we had missileers. And these things were always fueled and ready to go. And there was that spaceship or whatever that hung over that one missile base. And then it left, and they got all these alarms and everything. And what the thing did was it basically neutralized these missiles and damaged them right there in the silos. And they became completely inert and useless. Including whatever the charge was. I don't know if it's plutonium or uranium or whatever. I don't know what they were using back then. I'm assuming it was mostly plutonium. I don't know. Whatever the fissionable material, but it had neutralized it, which is even more interesting. It's not just that the missiles themselves became unable to launch, that they were able to get bypass codes and all this other stuff, but that whatever the payload had become to some degree non-fissionable. I'm not saying it was inert, but it was no longer fissionable, and I consider that to be still not really a conspiracy theory, but I don't know if that happened. I wasn't there, but this has been talked about by a lot of people. So there does seem to be some information. Every president says they want to look into it. Every president says that they're going to release something about it. Nothing ever happens. Not to any real substantial. But I've heard some of the other theories about Antarctica and all this other stuff, and I've looked into some of it. Who knows? That there's another race of people here. My favorite one is the one where the Germans, Nazis, went to Antarctica and set up a parallel system. With all the money and all the stuff that they had access to. They were very much ahead of the rest of us. And they saw the writing on the wall, and they took it all, and they basically went under the ice where it's quite warm and conditions are more stable. They started on top, and they started this even before World War II, which is why they sent Admiral Byrd over there. And whatever happened the last time that Admiral Byrd went over there, essentially he brought all those warships and everything, and they came back with their, dick in the hands. Something happened, and they were apparently defeated, or they used up so many of their resources, and they came back early. So I don't know. That would suggest that there is a breakaway society, as they refer to it. Not necessarily alien in terms of the residents, but perhaps alien influenced. But the society is human. It's just that they are 100 years or more ahead of us in terms of technology. And they're operating in a different way with a different type of society. And they have the ability to kick our ass. And then there was the one where people do know that, what was it, around World War I, right? There was the sort of attack, so to speak, on Los Angeles. Then there was that whole thing that went on over Eisenhower's White House, right, when Eisenhower was in. And then he wanted to see what was going on over at Area 52, whatever it was, Roswell, and they wouldn't let him. And then there's that conspiracy theory that he actually met that guy, what was his name, Thor. There's some that whole lore. To me, it's like lore. I don't know if any of it's true. Not much that I really care. I do know that the Nazis were involved with the Thule Society, and all those societies are all cultist. They go way back, and those are the ones that. Those kinds of societies tap into all of the old societies that we read about in the Bible, and the Canaanites and all of that, and even in the sort of Asian. You go back to like the Indians, where they talk about that sort of big interaction, the war in the heavens with Sheba and all of that shit. They were trying to tap into all of that, and I don't know. They were pretty advanced. I mean, some of these people have been doing this well. The guy that started here in this country, that started Jet Propulsion Laboratories, right? He was a serious occultist. And he claims that he got a lot of that information from, what society was he involved in eventually? He was following, what the hell was that guy's name? He was considered to be the most evil man on the planet, and they even threw him out of Italy. Mussolini threw him out. This is all these ties. They're all sort of know each other to some degree, and they all kind of tend to work with each other. These are the stuff that was put through, for so many generations in those bloodlines, that they claim today are still around, It's pretty crazy. Let's see. Come back up. No politica. It probably goes, no politica in here, man. Robert JB, hello. Phoenix Lights, the Long Island sighting, yeah, that one too, yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff. As far as vids go, I need narration or it's pointless. Yeah, because you don't see that well, so it is helpful. But it's nice to have narration. I don't know, I just like it better. Mad says, hello, Brother Brock, been a while since I put the PRG, oh yeah, in the gas tank in the Craftsman, turning dark yellow, made it fresh again. Oh, it colored it. Yeah, it might have just colored it though. I mean, you don't know how to, you'd have to test to see if it lost any of its octane. That's why I start off with like 93 octane, because I store like 20 gallons at a time. And Exxon says that depending upon the temperature and how well you seal the can, right? It can lose an octane to 2 octane points every month or 2 months or whatever, which is a lot. Because if you're starting off with like the cheap 87 octane, you wind up with garbage in a few months. I don't care what you put in it. Yeah, and that you can't use in 2-stroke. So if you do have 2-stroke stuff, I've noticed a difference. Even with the few 2-stroke things that I've worked on or have, I have totally noticed a difference. If you have a really good mix of 93 and if you're working on a machine that's questionable, if it's going to start, you're going to want to use good fuel in it. Because if you don't know the machine, good luck. If you have something that's been sitting around from last year, even if you started off with 93, like I still have some, my still trimmer will run on anything, but I know that it won't run as well. You know, when I go out and get like fresh 93, it likes that. It will run, it will start to run, but I've seen questionable machines that if you kept the 87 around for a bunch of months, like from season to season, take it out, put it to the side, and burn it in your 4-stroke lawnmowers a little bit at a time. All right, so you don't have to throw it out. You know, or use canned fuel, you know, which is a lot more money. See, here, canned fuel is an option, although it's harder to get because it's expensive, so it's harder to get in volume. But we don't really have alcohol-free gas here, you know, not that I'm aware of. I don't think anybody's selling that anymore. So, I mean, there are maybe out that way where there's still farming communities. I don't know. I haven't been to a gas station out that way. You know, I don't know. You know, but let's see, what time is it? Let me come back. Oh, David. Hey, what's up, David? Get the non-ethanol if possible. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I can't get it. Marine fuel is generally alcohol-free. Yeah, and you can go, again, it's more money, but you can go avgas, which is not far from here. So if you want to fill up a bunch of containers. That's a nice option. But honestly, most of my stuff, it really doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, when I go and buy fuel, I label it. So each 5-gallon can has got a label on it. Piece of tape, date, octane, rotate. And have enough of it, you know, because I got to fix machines and everything, so I got to keep some around. And then, depending upon the time of year, right, like this year, I used up a lot more fuel because of the snow blowers and everything. You know, we're using that a lot. So it depends on how much I have laying around. Because only helicopter fuel is acceptable for cars and small motors. I don't know. What are they using helicopters? No, most of them are turbines. They're Caro. It's like ultra purified Caro. You know, I'm talking avgas for like 4-cylinder, you know, Cessna engines. Gas. Brett says he uses 93 all the time. Yeah, jet fuel is Caro. Yeah, I'm talking about avgas. Yeah, helicopters are turbines. It's jet fuel. '93 is good. 93, if you can get 92, you know. You don't need it. I mean, in the season, you know, when the season's really there and you're cooking, 87, 89, if you're going to be going through it. If it's not 2-stroke, and if you just, you know, because my Honda will run on just about anything, and I put just about anything in it. I just put a little mixer just to kind of get it going. I sweeten the sauce a little bit with a little bit of, just a little bit. You guys have seen some of the videos where I'll put, oh, we're going to put a little Techneron in. Oh, that's a little too much. Oh, let's put a little bit of, you know, Lucas up as, you know, top cylinder lube in. Oh, it's a little bit too much. Oh, maybe we'll add a little bit more. Or I'll put a little older 2-stroke in from last season for my stuff. Or if I just want to, like, I might have a machine sometime that comes in and I can tell it's cooled up, right? Like this thing, like this engine. You know, with the looks of that oil, I mean, come on, the rings could use a little help, you know, and it hasn't really been run much. It ran. We got it off the trailer. I showed a little bit about that, like last year on a live. I think I even have a video where there's some elements of that in there. Or he says, hell, 100 octane is low lead. Is it low lead still? You can burn jet fuel in torpedo heaters. Yeah. But it'd be expensive to do that. Yeah. Yeah, but it's cleaner, right? So, like, that's the thing with, like, pure white kerosene and everything. You don't want anything causing stink, you know? I ran kerosene heaters for years when I was younger in Seaford. right? Especially downstairs and out here too. When I first moved in out here. Wait, hold on, let me see what time it is. I gotta pee. Yeah, we got a little bit more time. It's an hour and 43. I hang out a bit longer, but I gotta go pee. I'm not even gonna put the pee later on. I just gotta go take a quick tinkle. Hold on. I gotta go. All right. Yes, I wiped my hands. I rinsed my hands off and wiped them off. You know, I'm not a complete animal. You're an animal. I was telling contractor Mike that I put a fuse, inline fuse holder in for automotive fuses. I said, because I didn't look at the diagram. I could have, but there was so many things that were changed that somebody ripped out the safeties and whatever, the interlocks. And I said, the first two things I checked, because his blades wouldn't come on. So it's PTO, electric PTO. But there's no battery, there's no starter motor. It's running off of the Kawasaki twin cylinder. And I was worried about that because that's a lot of current to pull in. You know, those electric PTO, those magnets and electromagnets, they pull a lot of current. And I tested that. I tested the output on his motor. And then I ohmed out the PTO, the clutch, separated the harnesses and the connectors, and they were all dirty, and some of them were messed up. Bad connections, usually. I said, but that was the first two things I looked at. I said, because his motor, I did the valve adjustment on it, and they were twice as loose as they should have been. So I think the spec was 4 to 6 thousandths. They were like 12, 13, 14 thousandths. Now, and they were about the same on both cylinders. So it's wearing, and it's wearing equally. But the motor doesn't really blow any real smoke. You get a little bit when it's cold, right? It's really cold, but it cleans up. It cleans up pretty good. But I said to him, I said, you got wear on your motor, right? It's 20 years old. It's a 20-year-old machine. I mean, a testament to the quality of Wright manufacturing. So the chassis is pretty good, although it was beat up and I had to weld and fix it up. And testament to the Kawasaki motor, which is built well. I don't know if that's built here in the United States or not. I mean, 20 years ago, I don't know. You guys tell me. I don't know. I mean, we do build. Some of the stuff gets put together here from stuff made elsewhere. I don't know. But, good motor. Wearing appropriately. I said, but, the blades weren't coming on. And he's had some problems before, and there was some wiring issues. Like I said, somebody ripped off all the safety, so some of it wasn't all that great, loose grounds. And that was on a video I just put out. I said, but my worry was that if the little generator starter thing, whatever the hell it is on that Cowie motor, if it was no good, well, I said, that would change the game. I said, because the motor is older, the pull start is breaking. I welded a washer on it. It was wearing from, losing one of its 4 feet. There's like things, and a starter replacement, it would be expensive. And then you got to, pull the top of the motor off, and you got to get in there and pull the flywheel off, and it's going to cost. Maybe you want a new motor. So if I saw that there was an issue there, I would have stopped and called them. You wanted a motor? Let me get some prices. That changes the game. And then the other thing, too, is where the PTO is, it's not directly underneath the motor. I think it's back a little further. And getting underneath this thing, it's a heavy machine. And getting to that, if that was bad, well, I don't know. I mean, like the Sunstar, they don't really make that thing anymore. Last price I saw was like $300 for electric PTO clutch. And depending upon where everything has gone up. So anything, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever it was, all this electronic stuff, things have just gone up. In some cases, they're twice the price or more, or just more money. So that might have been a problem. So I checked that, it was okay. Because just even getting it, let's say you can get it, no problem, which is probably available, because almost everything for a Wright is available. Even if it's $150, it's hard to get out and install. So that would change things, because when I added up all the stuff that this thing needed, the list was huge. And believe me, he had to pay for it. But he was okay with it. you know, because it's a damn good machine. Like I said, he said he had another one, but I didn't really ask. I don't think he bought one new. I don't know what he got. Or maybe he bought another used one, which, you know, if it screws up, it'll be here. But yeah, it came out really nice. I mean, putting money and time into those kinds of machines is really where it's at. There's more room for the mechanic to work. You can drop prices, but you're still so much meat on the bone that you're not really going to feel it. And, you know, you can work on a project like that for a while. They're worth saving. They're a lot of money new. Even used, that's like a $1,600 machine. So if the guy has had it for a little while and gotten some use out of it and really needs it and doesn't want to spend, I mean, I said to him, I said, you know, even if I charge you $2,000 for this work, and we went over everything, right? You're not going to get another one like this for $2,000. The one that you're going to get is the one that I haven't fixed yet for $2,000, and then you'll buy it for $2,000, and it'll be to some degree like this, and then it will break on you. And if it breaks in the middle of somebody's lawn, you better have another one to go get it because you're not pushing it up on your trailer. And he doesn't have a winch on his trailer. You're going to need another machine and figure out how to get it up on a trailer. He doesn't know that yet, but I kind of told it to him. And then you're going to have to bring it to me, and you're going to have to spend a lot more money. So it's that kind of thing. And that's kind of where it's a good place to be as a mechanic, and it's a good place to be if you have a good mechanic and you're a contractor, and depending on what you paid for the machine. When they're older and they're worthy machines. He just sold a couple of machines, and he got some really good money for them. The ones that I worked on. And I think somebody paid a good buck for it, but they got a well-serviced machine. So if they don't ruin it, you know, it's the smallest stuff that you can, if you're quick and you can be fast and you're not fixing too many things. And if there's too many things wrong with it, it's a parts machine. And don't even take the job. Let me see. Oh, wait. AI. Brett says AI is watching Arch P. Just kidding. Yeah, that's weird. And that would be a thing, wouldn't it be? And Robert says, we have 89 octane non-ethanol fuel here. Ooh, okay. Yeah, he uses it exclusively. Yeah, I would. Small engines and motorcycles. Yeah, absolutely. And Roxy Meows. Yeah, I went in early before I came out. And Mr. Binks, the oldest boy, Black Cat, he's so affectionate, you know. He just loves to be, and he talks a lot too. RW says, I've got health update. My weight is down to 187 pounds, lost 53 plus. My average fasting glucose is 97 for the last 90 days. Nice. 95 for 30 day and 93 for the week. Very nice. Very nice. Lewis says, keyboard warriors, Arch. Yeah. Blood says, do you hear about the incident just now in the president? Yeah, Bravo. Johnny Bravo filled me in. I haven't looked yet. I'll find out in a little while. You want to fill us in, Blood Nose? Any new updates? Hopefully nobody's hurt. How does this even happen? Shit's so weird. It's just such a TV show sometimes, you know? We're not getting political or anything. That's what it is. It's a crappy TV show that we all have to watch. So much of this stuff is fake. I just gotta believe in everything. I don't need to. I believe in red lights, green lights, food, wrenches, right? Reality. You know, the rest of the stuff, we can't even see it. The news lies all the time. Everybody, you know, I keep up with it to some degree. I study on a lot of it. But even at the end of the day, like I said, what I really am concerned with is the most important things that are in my life. And that includes the cats, right? Because they're a lot of fun. Well, Missy, she's got her own drawer. So Missy, the sort of chubby, weedy-looking, multicolored female, she's just in love with this shark stuffed toy. She has all the other toys, and you have to put them. They were hiding them in a drawer, right, in the kitchen. So when Missy found out about that, she wanted at that drawer, and she would try to open the drawer and try to hang on it. But now she realizes it's kind of her drawer because all of those stuffed toys, because originally these were stuffed toys that supposedly had some catnip in them or whatever. And they're like, don't let the cats have it for too long or whatever. Okay, whatever. We'll listen and follow directions for a little while. But I think all of that is all worn off now. So she found out that they were in this drawer, and I think what happened is it became her drawer. And she loses Sharky. Sharky is her favorite one. She loses it, and she'll come up to the drawer, and she'll make all these motions to it. She'll put her paw on it. She'll look at you. And what she's saying is either open the drawer because I want all my stuff back in the drawer, and I know the stuff's back in my drawer, so you have to put the stuff back in the drawer, or I've lost Sharky. I don't know where Sharky is. You have to help me because my world is coming down all around me. And I'm like, no, I can't bend down and look yet. It's the morning, because that's often when it happens. And no, I can't bend down in the morning with a flashlight and look underneath, because she gets underneath the refrigerator. There's always a new place underneath the couch. You got to move the couch. You got to lift up the footrest and look in there. She won't go in there and get it either. You got to go get it. You got to crawl in there, right, and get it. And then you can't just give it to her. You have to bring it over to the drawer and put it back in the drawer. It's this whole game. So they all have something like that they do that's particular. And it's hysterical. And the way she communicates with you, like you kind of, after a while, you know what she's telling you. You know what she's saying at that moment in time. So they find these ways of communicating with us. And it is really cute and adorable. And if I can't do it right away, I'm like, I promise when I come back, well, she can throw herself into a panic. You know? And like this morning, she was playing with it on top of the table, and then it fell off the table. She thought it fell onto the chair, which was tucked in underneath the table at the kitchen. But it didn't. It fell off of that onto the floor, onto the little throw rug. But she couldn't see it, so she was in a bit of a panic. She didn't know where it went. And she got into a little bit of a panic over it. And instead of using her senses and looking around, even though I tried to show her, she was just so insistent on just like it actually has to be here. I think it's here. It has to be here. It's odd. I'm like, you're not going to be a good hunter. And the other thing I found too is that when she sees the birds outside, she clicks. She does the clicking sound. You know, where you see her lower jaw vibrates really quick. And she makes this like clicking sound. She tries to imitate the birds. But there's something wrong with her voice, so she doesn't really meow. I've heard her meow sometimes. It's very light, but she squeaks mostly. And she makes little cry noises to you. It's hysterical. Let's see, someone, oh, they took somebody into custody? Wait. Yeah, President going to speak soon. Okay. And he says, not that he would really say anything. Yeah, no, because, you know, you're not going to find out. Well, Rob doesn't like Mr. T. He wants Biden back. Roxy does that? Yeah, from what I understand, a number of them do it. Not all of them, though. Well, again, they all have their thing, you know? Just like humans. And Little Binks, the smallest one, the sort of runt, he would have died if it wasn't for me. And they were going to give him away. And because I remember right as soon as he came out, you know, as they kind of come out, they all try to scurry around a little bit. They sort of blindly crawl. And eventually they find Mama's teat. Well, no. Binks was all the way over there on the other side of the room. Like, you are going to die if you keep going in that direction. So I picked him up and I had to show him Mama's teat. And it's just some of the other things that he would do. He's sketchy. He's up all night. He's different times. It's just bizarre. His behavior. He's skinny. They wanted to give him away, and I wouldn't. I said, no, you cannot give them away. You cannot give him away. And then, you know, my daughter is going through all this pressure with the other potential side of the in-law family. They just play these guilt trip games, you know, on her. And it's just bizarre. I don't want to get into it, but it's just bizarre. I'm like, just because they want... And the newest thing, we'll get into one thing. They're like, well, you have to get married before so-and-so passes on. He's getting old. Pops is getting old. Pop. I was over there. He's better than me. You talking about he's going to die. Huh? Me too. We're all going to... Before it's this guilt trip shit. So she thought she mentioned something to this lady and she would be disappointed and she didn't give the... I don't care. I don't give a crap. Dude, disappointed. Do you even know that's true? Because they're guilt tripping you and head tripping you. Turns out she wasn't disappointed at all. It's just this head trip thing from the future mother-in-law. Go away. Right? You're not having the cat. So he's fitting real well. He's just different. He's odd. They're all a little odd. Most of us. Like AI. Right? Will we accept AI like our brother? I don't know. I don't need to do that. You know? Yeah, Roxy does that. You know, she says, no, I don't want Biden back, but someone that follows the Constitution would be nice. Well, he is actually following the Constitution, and I don't want to get into it because you know what the hell you're talking about. All right, I'm getting out of here. You watch way too much left-wing shit. I'm getting out of here. On that note, right, let me close this. I can pop that chat out of my way. Now, yeah, it pops back. All I have to do is close it, and it pops right back to where it belongs. All right, that's nice. That's nice. Let's see, timeout 2 hours and 2 minutes and 16 seconds. All right. They usually do an hour and a half or an hour and 45 at best. So I think it will go a bit longer because I didn't do anything last week other than sit here and relax and try to get rid of this cold, which I think is disappearing. I think that at this point now, I'm not sneezing, although I'm still sniffly. So you haven't heard me really cough or sneeze, which is good. All right. I'll see you guys later. And yeah, but yeah, that Supreme Court, those people are communist liberal left wingers. So who cares? All right, what they say. All right, they don't even abide by the Constitution. Besides, that's commentary. Supreme Court is commentary. All right, it doesn't force anybody. Let them go and enforce it. I'll see you guys later. Oh yeah.